Hey guys, it's Brody, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to do basic OH turning, which consists of the basic one-handed grip, doing R and U moves, doing cube rotations, and knowing how to cube rotate to do other moves. For this tutorial, I'm going to assume that you're using your left hand for OH and that you're using CFOP, but these ideas can apply to most methods, and if you're using your right hand, you can just mirror what I do. So let's get started. Let's start off with how to hold the cube. Holding the cube is easy, but it's very important that you do it correctly because it needs to be correct for OH to work. Here's what you do. Imagine that the 4 stickers on the bottom left part of the front face make a square. Put your thumb diagonally across that square so the very tip of your thumb is somewhere near the very middle of the centerpiece. Then put your ring finger on the bottom edge sticker near the back and put your middle finger on the left edge sticker on the back. Congrats! You now know how to properly hold the cube for OH. At first, this grip will be hard to maintain, but as you practice, you'll unconsciously grip this way every time. You have a little leeway for the position of each of your fingers in this grip, and as you get faster, you will probably develop your own variation, but that's fine. As long as you're holding this entire 2x2x3 block in the lower left corner, you're fine. And the great thing about this grip is that it leaves the U and R faces open to turn while holding everything else solidly in place, and it leaves your index and pinky fingers open for turning. Now that you can hold the cube, let's teach you how to turn it. For now, I'll just go over the basic stuff, but don't let the word basic fool you. You can still get very far with these finger tricks. So for the actual turning, let's start off with U moves. U prime is the easiest U move, so that's what you should try first. To do U prime, you take your index finger and put it on the back left corner like this and pull your finger forward. That's exactly how you do U prime in 3x3, so this should be very intuitive. Just try doing U prime a few times in a row like this. And while you're doing this, try your best to maintain the grip that we just went over. And now let's go over how to do U. There are 2 different ways to do U moves, and I'll go over both, and then explain how you should choose which one you're going to do. The first technique is called flick style. You can do a flick style U move by bringing your left index finger forward so the fingernail is facing the top left sticker on the front. And then you do a flicking motion with your index finger, which moves the U layer. Try that a few times slowly, like this. It's going to be really difficult at first, but like everything that's worth doing in life, it takes practice. Push style is very different from flick style. To do a push style U-turn, move your index finger so the fingertip is on the top left corner on the left face, right there. And then to actually do the move, do a pushing motion to the right with your index finger. If you do this correctly, your finger should be moving the U layer. Try doing this a few times, and again, it's going to be really difficult, but that's unavoidable. I personally use flick style because I find it to be much easier and more consistent, but it's completely subjective. Feel free to use whatever is most comfortable for you, or even use both if you want. Now let's go over the R moves. Just like with the U moves, there is one easy one and one harder one. R is the easier one, so let's start with that. To do R, all you have to do is move your pinky towards you. That works because your pinky should naturally rest on this sticker in the back. So try doing this a few times. Try doing it slowly. Try doing a few in a row, just like this. And now you've gotten to the hardest part, R prime. I'm not kidding when I say that this one move is the main reason that a lot of people choose not to do OH. It's going to be difficult and uncomfortable at first, but you just need to keep practicing and it gets easier and easier. To do R prime, you need to move your pinky up to the front so that the fingernail is against the bottom right sticker on the front. And then you want to move your pinky away from you and drag the R layer with it. That is how you do R prime. You can basically use the same technique for wide R moves, which are very useful for one-handed. All that you have to do that's different from regular R moves is slide your fingers to the left so that you're just holding the L layer. Then you can do wide R moves with your pinky. And when you want to go back to regular turns, just slide your fingers back into the regular grip. When you first try to do these turns, you'll probably be undershooting on all of your turns, especially for U and R prime. And this means that when you do it, you won't do it all the way, and then your next turn will have to corner cut, and sometimes it will be able to go, and sometimes it won't. But as your hand gets more flexible, you'll be able to reach farther, and that problem will go away. If you want to make this a little bit easier, you can use a slightly smaller cube, but that's completely optional. As you get more flexible, you'll be able to use an ordinary cube. For example, this is an MF3RS3, which is just a regular 56 millimeters. Now that you know each of the basic turns, you should practice combinations of them. Later in this video, I'm going to go over some of my favorite ways of practicing R and U moves, but for now, try doing R, U, R prime, U prime a few times, and make sure that you maintain your grip while you're doing it. It's going to be really difficult, but you should just barely be able to do it. Don't worry about going fast yet, just try to do the moves, no matter how long it takes. And now that you know how to do that, let's go over cube rotations. Rotations are pretty easy, but it still takes practice to naturally go back to the proper grip after rotating. One of the things that helps a lot with cube rotations is that you can use the table to stabilize the cube while you're rotating, and I recommend doing this if you're having trouble. Here's an example of me using the table to help me with the cube rotation. I have the GB perm here, which has a cube rotation in it, and so when I do that, I start off with my R prime, U prime, R, kind of put the cube down, pick it up in the right position, and then finish the algorithm. And you can also see I put the cube down again to stabilize the cube during some difficult moves, and that's the other main use of table abuse in one-handed. For cube rotations, I just recommend developing your own technique. Just make sure that you can get back to the standard grip with whatever technique you use. And just so you know, X rotations are for rotating the cube up or down, Y rotations are side to side, and Z rotations are clockwise or counterclockwise. And this is what they all look like when I do them. In a video he made about OH cross, the Westonian talked about what he calls the hierarchy of rotations. Basically, what he said is that Z rotations are easier and faster than X rotations, which are easier and faster than Y rotations. And he is absolutely right. So when you're doing OH solves and you need to cube rotate, Y rotations should be a last resort, and you should do X or Z rotations instead if you can. I'll go into more detail with this in a little bit. Now that you know how to do R and U moves, and you know how to rotate, it's time to go over how you can do all of the other moves using a rotation and then a U move or an R move. You can do most of these in multiple ways, but I'll show you the ones which you should do based on the hierarchy of rotations. If you need to do F moves for OLL or something like that, you can do an X rotation and then U or U prime or whatever you need to do. A lot of people would do a Y rotation and then do R moves, but remember, X comes before Y in the hierarchy of rotations, so doing the X rotation is better in most situations. For L moves, you should do a Z rotation and then do a U moves. This is much better than doing a Y2 and then R moves, because Z is at the top of the hierarchy and Y is at the bottom, and doing Y2 is even worse than Y or Y prime. If you're doing D moves for cross or PLL or something, you should do a Z rotation and then R moves. That's pretty intuitive. And finally, in the unlikely event that you need to do B moves, you should do an X rotation and then do U moves instead of a Y rotation and then R moves. Again, this is because of the hierarchy. So that's pretty much all you need to know about turning in order to start doing one-handed solving. In some future videos, I'm going to go over the general strategy of how to use these turns to do full solves. For now, I'd recommend just practicing what I've taught in this video, especially the R and U moves. They're going to make up a very large portion of your OH solves, so the better those turns are, the faster you will be. Here are some F2L cases and algorithms that can be really good to drill. But my favorite way to practice these turns is with RU 2-gen scrambles. By getting 2-gen scrambles from CS Timer, you can do practice solves with just the basic turns and no rotations. But in order to do this, you must know the R and U move H and Z perm algorithms, which I have videos on that are linked in the description, and you have to know the RU algorithms for all 7 two-look OLLs, which I'm going to teach in my next video for this series. If you have any questions or need any help, feel free to ask me questions in the comments and I'll answer as many of them as I can. So thank you for watching this video. If it was helpful, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and share the video. I've got links to my 3x3 training sessions and my social media in the description if you're interested, and links to some of my other tutorials as well. I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you're having a great day. This is Brody, signing out.